Waffles.
Hey, so this is going to be a very, I don't know, it might be short, might be long, who knows, video about why I dislike Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, unlike most people who make videos about talking about what they don't like about Sonic the Hedgehog, they're very vocal about their opinions, and they're very strong with the way they come off when they talk about these kinds of things. And I don't really want to come off like too strong about Sonic. I mean, what's my opinions about fucking Sonic the Hedgehog gonna do about anything? But anyways, so today I just want to talk about the things that I feel just make Sonic bad. It is not a good series by any stretch of the imagination. It used to be pretty good, but I am gonna highlight the reasons why I think that they are bad. And no, it's not going to be the usual Sonic 06 ruined everything. I mean, it kind of did, but everybody knows that. So I'm gonna talk about things that I don't see very many people talk about as often. So yeah, let's get started. For the first problem, I think that this is probably the biggest problem I have with Sonic as a whole. There is far too much attempted innovation, is what I would call it. It's attempted innovation. Especially with the 3D titles. 2D, they stay very much the same, and that's kind of its strongest point, because they know what works, and they stick to it. 3D Sonic, they have never gotten to a point where 3D Sonic has found a certain thing that truly works. You could say, oh, boost formula, they did that for like 8 games or something. I mean, if that didn't work, they would scrap that. But the problem with that is, I feel like that's a very easy solution to do things. To me, Sonic is not really encapsulated when it's doing the boost formula. I prefer the adventure style of gameplay, for Sonic specifically. I'm not talking about just in general, because that would be me talking about the mech stages and treasure hunting stages. We may get to that, but I just want to stick to just Sonic gameplay in general. But when you have the boost formula, it's very much just boosting through everything. There's very little depth in what the gameplay is trying to do. Like the level design is far less interesting than it is in some of the older titles, like the adventure games, because it's very linear. This is what is ahead of you. Go through it. It doesn't matter what you do, go through it. We'll have like red rings sprinkled throughout, but you have one solution to do this. As unintended as most of the gameplay is for Sonic specifically in Sonic Adventure, it was interesting, and it was fun to experiment with Sonic's movement. It's kind of like how Mario kind of does its movement. It's very It gives the player an opportunity to embrace the movement. You could go nuts with the movement and find your own solutions with it. Like, I watch a speedrun of Sonic Adventure 1. See how players take advantage of Sonic's movement in those games. And once again, there are a lot of unintended elements, but it's fun. The reason why I think there is attempted innovation is because you have a perfectly fine Sonic game. Let's take Sonic Unleashed, for example. You have a perfectly fine Sonic game. Sure, it's the boost formula, but the levels, they were fun. They were fun for what they were. It's not the best Sonic game in the world, but it's certainly not the worst. It's a fine game. But what Sega did, and what they continue to do with Sonic, is they have a perfectly good Sonic game, perfectly good gameplay, story, we'll get to that. But what they do is they tack on unnecessary add-ons that hinder the overall experience. And you could even see that with the adventure games. Now, for Sonic Unleashed, because I'm using that as an example, it's the Werehog segments. No one likes the Werehog segments, and if you do, you are a very accepting person. You are very privy to change. I am not, and I quite like when Sonic is a certain way that doesn't involve tacked on nonsense. And I think stuff like the Werehog, cyberspace in Sonic Frontiers, the Wisps, absolutely the Wisps, 2D segments, I mean, like, to a lesser extent 2D segments, and any other gameplay styles besides general Sonic gameplay. All that stuff, I feel, is very much unnecessary. Even with, like, the adventure titles, yes. I feel like Sonic Adventure was a little bit excusable in the sense that all of the gameplay styles, all the different playable characters, you weren't forced to experience them to get, what really makes a Sonic game, which is Sonic gameplay. And I feel like it's much less egregious than in Sonic Adventure 2, where you are very much forced to enjoy differing gameplay styles that don't even hold a candle, not even like a stick with like a flare on it, to the general Sonic / Shadow gameplay. I genuinely believe that if Sega just stuck to what worked and refused to add anything else onto that general gameplay standard, I feel like people would be far more willing to accept Sonic as being Sonic. It's not trying to be something it isn't. It's not trying to be a beat-em-up. It's not trying to be a weird treasure hunt mech stage thing. You could have those differing gameplay styles, but do not force me to enjoy them. Have them separate. Have them as separate experiences that I don't need to participate in to enjoy your game. And I know I said I wouldn't be strong on my opinions about this kind of stuff, but now we're going to be getting into a little bit of a touchy subject for me when it comes to Sonic, which is problem 2. The overall degradation of the Sonic stories. I don't even know where I start. You know how Sonic, Super Sonic exists, and how that's such a ripoff of Dragon Ball and the Super Saiyan stuff? Well, the Sonic series is such a Dragon Ball ripoff at this point that they even rip off Dragon Ball's inability to kind of look at itself and say, where the hell did we go wrong? How did we get here? Because, just like Dragon Ball, Sonic gets so unbelievably, insane. It gets weird. And they just kind of refuse to admit that they're weird and they fucked up and they should go back to how the way it should have been before. Let's talk about the thing that I think ruins Sonic stories. Supernatural deities of mass destruction. It's dumb. They should stop doing that. In Sonic Adventure 1, where you had Chaos, you had Tikal, you had all of this lore and stuff, I feel like that kind of worked, because you had the breadcrumbs placed for that kind of lore. In Sonic 3, which didn't even have any of its story presented to you in a very overbearing way. It was very subtle with the way it told its story. It was very obvious that they had something planned that they wanted to tell with the Chaos Emeralds, and they did that through Chaos and Tikal and all that. That worked. And it felt, and as weird as Perfect Chaos is as a character compared to all the other Sonic characters, I feel like for that, if they did that just one time, I'd have no problem with it. but they kept on doing these weird supernatural deities of mass destruction. They kept on doing that. And I feel like I could illustrate that with characters like the Bio-Lizard and Dark Gaia. We're just going to use those as an example. There are plenty more that I could choose from, but they were the most, like, egregious to me. What I think happened, and I know this is absolutely not the case, but this is what it just feels like, is that somebody at Sega, a writer, had Dark Gaia and the Bio-Lizard as ideas. They wrote them down or whatever, they had them conceptualized or whatever, but they had no idea where to put them. So they put them in Sonic. And you look at the Bio-Lizard and you look at Dark Gaia, put both of them next to a Sonic character. Do they look the same? Like they come from the same series? No! No, they don't. And that's where I feel like things just get weird with Sonic stories. They take... It almost feels like they take things from Final Fantasy and shove them into a franchise which isn't really that. It doesn't really embody any of what these cool-looking characters are trying to be like. And that really messes with Sonic. I feel like that, above all things, makes Sonic kind of forget what makes Sonic Sonic. Sonic forgot what it was. Sonic is a series that involved a blue hedgehog going up against some old dictator guy shoving animals into robots, and he had to stop him. Which eventually sparked off into other characters, which had their own stories, with like the Chaos Emeralds and stuff. That was fine. But then it just became more and more and more and more and more about edgy bullcrap that does not match the style that Sonic is going for. Sonic is only cool when he's cool, if that makes any sense. When you try to make him cool, he's not cool at all. And I feel like people, I mean that's kind of a subjective thing, but I feel like people don't really care about that more than I do, but whatever. Now, with all of this being said, I'm pretty sure a lot of you out there watching this or listening to this while you do other things, you're probably thinking, wow, this guy hates Sonic. No. I feel towards Sonic the same way I feel towards a lot of my favorite series. I love Sonic the same way I love a lot of my favorite series. It's just that there are so many egregious problems that I wish were fixed, because I really want to enjoy Sonic for being Sonic. I want to enjoy it for what it is. But I can't. And I cannot enjoy it when these problems are just so prevalent and they don't... I really don't see them changing it. It feels like the series is just stagnant. Like it's reached its cusp of mediocrity, and it won't leave its cusp of mediocrity. I mean, it dips into god-awful sometimes, but like it's mostly mediocre. It's never good. It's never great, and it's especially not amazing. I was a massive Sonic fan when I was younger. And for a long time, I liked Sonic more than Mario. And a lot of that was sparked from my enjoyment of the Genesis games. I played all of them. I even played Sonic CD on mobile when that came out, because obviously, you know, that's just the most prevalent way to do it back then. But I played them all on emulators, and I enjoyed it. I had a good time, but I was very much blinded by the amount of other Sonic stuff that I really just didn't have access to. And then when I finally got to playing all of those other Sonic games, the threads began to unravel, and I saw the Sonic series for what it truly was, at least at that current modern point. It wasn't what it wanted to be. It just was like this weird monolith of crap that just didn't work. And that's really where my opinion of Sonic, I loved Sonic, but like after I saw all of this and considered all of these factors that went into why Sonic just isn't even close to being as cool or as good anymore, I was just like, I'm done with it. I stopped being excited with Sonic. And before you people say, oh, then you must like Mario, or like Crash Bandicoot, or Mega Man more. And while I do, I feel less impelled to be hyped or excited for a lot of those things anymore, because they share problems that the Sonic series has, albeit kind of the opposite problems. But, I mean, I just don't... I'm not going to end off this video talking about what I truly want them to do for a new Sonic game, because I'm not really that kind of person. I am not the most Sonic fan fanatic that a lot of people on the internet are. So if you please consult them for what they think another Sonic game should, be like, in order for it to truly recapture what made Sonic special in the first place. But if I had any input at all, I would have to bring up the problems that I just talked about throughout this video for a little over 17 minutes. I like Sonic, but I would like him to be good again. And that's kind of where I stand nowadays. I don't know if anything I just said made any sense to anybody, but if you would want me to make another one of these like podcasty kind of videos for, like Mario, Mega Man, or some other franchise that I like, let me know in the comments. I just kind of did this on a whim. I was very bored in between working on other stuff, so I just wanted to do something to put something up on the channel that I felt passionate enough to do. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, I should say. No one's watching this intently. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.